G'day everyone, this is Alex from Trademate Sports, and today I'm going to be talking about a concept called cold sports betting or cold trading, and basically sums up why you don't need to know a thing about sports or a thing about betting to make a profit from betting. But before I start, please make sure that you subscribe to our channel and click the bell so you get a notification every time we make a video like this.
It is a scam when you don't allow everyone to operate on fair terms.
We are the Robin Hoods of sports betting. We take something back from the rich bookies and enable our customers to beat them instead.
So a common misconception in sports betting is that you need to be some kind of analytical genius or whatever in soccer, basketball, any kind of sport to be able to make money from it. When really your best way of making money from sports betting is being familiar with betting strategies or betting principles rather than knowing the ins and outs of a football team. But the thing is, if you go to the pub and you start talking to your mates about this new numbers-based approach you're taking to your betting, they're probably going to laugh you off and think you're some kind of geek. But the thing is professional sports bettors, I could almost guarantee that the first thing they would rather implement into their betting is being familiar with betting and being familiar with the numbers behind that makes everything tick in the sports betting world. So to make sense of all of this, I've just quickly grouped kind of some of the characteristics or into two different categories of what a cold trader is, so someone who just takes a numbers-based approach, and a hot trader who just does it all based on his or her opinion on their experience watching some kind of sport. So here we've grouped together the hot trader and the cold trader and some of the characteristics of both of them. So as you can see, the hot trader does a lot of research, reads all the previews of games, listens to the experts, soccer experts, whatever sport it is, looks at historical form between two opponents and kind of presents some kind of conclusion and suggested trade based on the above and their own opinion. Whereas on the other hand, the cold trader looks at the prices offered on the market to see if there are any outliers, has an entry and exit on a particular game based on statistical data, uses software such as Trademate Sports to spot value opportunity, and only needs like very basic knowledge of sport to make a profit. Being a hot trader isn't easy at all, especially if you're completely neglecting the pricing numbers side of the game. Then it's almost impossible to make a profit from sports betting. So here are some of the challenges I've come up with for hot traders. So the first one is there's just so much noise out there. So, whether you're on your 24-hour news channel or you're going through Twitter, Facebook, all these kind of things, there's constantly new news coming in and there's lots of noise coming in from different directions. So that's one challenge for hot traders, just to figure out kind of what noise to listen to and to eliminate the ones that are just complete nonsense. The next challenge, and probably the biggest one, is it's very time consuming. So you could spend hours and hours looking into a game, looking into possible, if you're a trader, maybe looking into possible exit strategies. You can just spend hours and hours on one football game or one basketball game, whatever it is, and still not end up in a profitable situation. So yeah, it takes a lot of time, a lot more time than a cold trading approach. Third challenge is the process of researching teams and stuff like that can be very subjective to your own opinions. They might be good opinions, but maybe they're not the same opinions that'll go across every single game or match. So, for example, I'm an Arsenal fan. Maybe I'm not the biggest fan of, Manchester United or Chelsea, these kind of teams, but I'm a big fan of Arsenal. Maybe I, overrate how good Aubameyang is. Maybe I underrate how good Marcus Rashford is, these kind of things. So it's not through our fault of our own, but just, as you go out through general life, you form all these kind of biases. So it's, I assume the professionals and, these guys that have been doing it for years can eliminate those biases, but it's a very, very hard concept to learn. Another challenge is getting too emotionally attached to your results because it's kind of your opinion going into these bets. Then it gets to the point where if you lose 20 in a row, it could be completely down to variance and just being very unlucky. But because it's your own opinion and maybe you're not going through more of a numbers-based approach, you're going to find it really difficult to not get too emotionally attached and think that it's all over kind of thing, or maybe it's going to be the opposite. you go on a 20-win bet run and you think you're a genius and that you've got it all sorted and you can do this for the rest of your life. So yeah, you can get way too emotionally attached to your profits, whereas if you're a cold trader, you basically just go off the numbers, and if the numbers are doing what you want them to do, if you're beating the closing line, that's all you need to know. And the last challenge, and I've kind of harped on it, is just knowing how good you are at what you do, because at the end of the day, bookmakers have all these, huge quantitative measures that they take. They have all these databases. They're more powerful than just about every single professional sports bettor. So you have to get to the point where you believe your opinion or whatever approach you've taken is better than theirs. Whereas, they have millions or maybe even billions more dollars than you. So, and they're able to, implement anything that they want to be able to beat you. So, just another thing that's hard for hot traders to do is challenging to judge how good you are compared to a bookmaker. So now let's talk about cold trading, why it's different from hot trading and why it is, in our opinion, better than hot trading. Before I start, it's also important to know that cold trading or cold sports betting is not following a tipster, or it's not just betting blindly into an event. It's, just to sum it up, it's a numbers-based approach to everything. So the Trademate sports value betting software is basically cold trading summed up to a T. It's not betting based on your own opinion, it's betting based on the numbers. So if Liverpool are at 2.0 in odds, playing Manchester United and Bruno Fernandes gets injured, those 2.0 in odds on Liverpool are going to drop right down, maybe to 1.7, maybe 1.8, something like that, just as a guess. They're the kind of approaches that a cold trader would take, is basically finding discrepancies in prices and always taking those value bets, getting more value odds or getting more valuable odds than the true probability of a match is. So here are a few reasons why you might consider cold trading as an alternative over hot trading. Firstly, the biggest one is it saves you a lot more time. Take Trademate for example, all you have to do is log into your account, a trade will pop up to bet on, and then you just go and place that bet yourself. If you get really good at it, the process might take you 15 to 30 seconds. Maybe when you start it'll take a couple of minutes, but it's that simple. You don't have to go research a game for hours and hours and hours. The second benefit is that you don't need to know anything about the chosen sport. Like I said with Trademate or any other tool or whatever you're using, any value betting numbers-based approach system, you don't really need to know, the ins and outs of a team, whether Arsenal are in form, whether Liverpool are in form, these kind of things. You don't have to do any research or anything like that. You don't have to know anything about the team or sport. Number 3 is it removes subjectivity, which we talked about with hot trading. So if you're just purely looking at numbers, you're purely looking at the closing line and trying to beat the closing line, then you don't have to worry about, your own biases coming in and, looking at whether you think, Liverpool's new signing or whatever is going to do this or that. You're purely looking at numbers. And, the good thing about a numbers-based approach is we have the closing line. And we know that if you beat the closing line in most sports betting leagues, that you're going to have long-term profitability. So cold traders have the ability to just look at one metric, and even if they're winning or losing, doesn't matter. They can just look at that one metric to see if their strategy is successful or not. And lastly, it removes the emotional attachment you can have to a bet, because maybe if you're using a software like Trademate, that software works throughout all of our, past results on our website and articles we've put out. You know that it works. So you're not kind of always judging yourself or your own opinion on whether your strategy you've come up with works. You're putting it onto Trademate and saying, I know this works because value betting works. Everyone knows, or at least the people who know lots about betting, know that value betting works. So if you don't have to have that. You won't have that same emotional attachment if you were doing hot trading. And that concludes everything I wanted to say about cold trading or cold sports betting and how you don't need to know a thing about sports to make money from it. If you want to take that kind of approach to your betting, go and start a free week trial of Trademate Sports. It's basically all of that in a nutshell. Tradematesports.com, start a free week trial. As some of you may know our history, we've got a 2.67% ROI over 3,500,000 trades. So yeah, go and start a free week trial. And make sure that you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we'll have plenty new videos to come very soon. Cheers.